podcast. I'm your host, Matthew Couture, and this is another Forging Friday episode. I'm hopping on real quick. Gonna try to keep it somewhat short. We'll see. Sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. And I don't know about you guys, but I am sick and tired of this heat. At least here in Michigan, it has been no joke, no less than 90 degrees. And I know any of you that are down south that are probably like Texas and stuff like that, that where it's like 100 degrees, I might be complaining, but hey, I'm a northern boy. Like I'm not used to this. My favorite weather is fall by far. Fall, I'm ready for that. Flannel, jeans, no hotter than 60 during the day, cool nights, bonfire, cider. It's a whole thing. And that's more my speed than this hot stuff. I'm not built for it. I make do with it, but man, does it get warm in the shop that I work at. With all the machines running too, it's usually like 10 degrees warmer than what it is outside. And yeah, I'm personally ready for it to cool down a little bit. Plus, that means it's fall and hunting, and I'm excited for that. So this week, I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about something that I've been doing more recently, which has been I've been in the process of buying a new car, and I didn't really know what that process looks like as far as like going to dealers. Where should your finances be at? And I guess this kind of be like a car buying slash finance episode because especially forging roots, you want to make sure that you're doing the right things now, forging and creating this wealth for you later on in life, and even the stuff that you have now, living within your means. And what does that mean for somebody who's in high school, college, young to mid 20s? That's something that maybe you overlook because you're like, I got time for that. It's gonna happen when it happens, and I'm pretty grateful for the way that I grew up. I've always been pay cash and uh have no debt, all the good things. I went like in high school. At my school we had our senior year, I think it was, a Dave Ramsey class, which was basically like I'm sure you guys have all heard of Dave Ramsey. If not, look him up. He's a financial guy, and did that. So like learn to write a check and budget and actual stuff that would help you later on in life. Not so much finding Pythagorean theorem and all that, although I do use that at work, so that's not a good example. Um, but you get what I mean. It's not like it's taking calculus that 99% of the people that take calculus in high school probably won't use. So it was a helpful class, and I've been doing my best to apply that to my life when I can. And I'm involved in or enrolled in a 401k Roth through my work, which I've been doing now for a little while. And I remember my uncle, and if you guys don't know what a 401k is or what that stuff is, I'll kind of point you to a podcast that Jason Holiday actually pointed me towards called The Money Guy Show. You should check it out. It's super helpful and kind of take a lot of the stress out of me not knowing what to do when buying a car, and like just general questions of like, what should I be investing in as a 24-year-old, and how much should I be investing? Am I looking for the right priced car? Am I looking out of my price range? Which I definitely was at first, and we'll get into that later on. But it might not be the coolest, flashiest like thing to talk about, like, oh, finances and being smart with your money and frugal and still enjoying life, but also learning to save and maybe not getting the newest car that you can get because in the long run it might help you down the road to have saved the money, get something within your means. And like I said, this is something I'm learning and growing on and exploring as I get older, I'm sure, and those things will change. So I guess I'll kind of just go over. So for the first time, I bought stocks on my own and not through like, obviously I'm invested in my 401k, but like on my own, invested into Black Rifle Coffee Company when they went public. And it's a great time to buy in right now because the market's super low. So I will say that, hoping, and I know it's an ups and downs thing, and stock market, I'm not giving advice and saying, just so we're clear, I'm not a financial guy as far as like advisor, didn't take classes. So you can hear this, or you could say this is a bunch of horse hockey and dump it now. I don't care. This is me just being me and trying to figure things out as I go along the way. So invested into that. I've done the 401k thing, and I've always I don't really have any debt other than school loans at the moment. which that is something that I made sure to pay on time. And this also kind of goes like, I'm so over the place. I'm sorry, guys, if you're listening. I'm just scatterbrained because I'm like, oh yeah, this and this. So I had my little notes that I had before, and um, I'm remembering other things that I didn't think of at the moment. So kind of backtrack. So I have my school loan debt, and I was like, okay, makes sense. Paying it off, do your monthly payments, and you can always pay more, which I was doing and have been doing and paying, especially right now. For those of you who have school loans and they're paying, pay down as much as you can, in my opinion, because it's interest free right now due to initially Trump signing that in because of COVID, and now Biden's continued that going forward. Like, if you pay that down when you get re-enrolled and that kicks back on, like, it's just going to be so much nicer and save you literally thousands of dollars because that interest accrues over time. And even though it's like, well, it's only $170 monthly payment, yeah, it's super low. But when you look over that period of time that you're paying, you're going to pay thousands and thousands more of what they initially lent to you. So been taking advantage of that, and glad to say I paid everything off in my parents' name because I had loans out in my name and they had to take some out for me to go to school as well. But everything that's in their name is paid off and done with. And I'm super proud of that. Working on the portion that was in mine, which was much smaller and lower interest rates, which is another little thing, is you want to make sure when you are paying stuff off, pay the thing with the highest interest rate, because that's going to accrue more money and cost you more in the long run. Even though you might have like a 15, just for example, say we have a $15,000 loan, it's a 2% interest rate, and you only have a $100 loan at a 50% interest rate. Obviously, that's a ridiculous rate and ridiculous numbers, but just to kind of get the point, might take you quite a while longer if you don't make decent money or whatever to get that $15,000 paid off. You as soon as you can. It might be 2% interest, but that $100 could have been paid off, and it's a higher interest rate over the same amount of time that you would be paying that higher amount, because it's a bigger number. 15,000 seems a lot scarier than $100, right? But in the long run, that $100 is going to accrue that 50% on top of that, another 50%, and just keep going, going, going. Before you know it, by the time you've paid off that 15,000, you're $1 million in debt. I don't know the numbers or the actual math off the top of my head, but hopefully you understand what I'm saying. This is stuff that at your age, no matter what age, even if you're in your 40s or 50s, you never thought about it, should probably look into it, because it's definitely going to be a more difficult uphill climb if you're just now thinking about it. But it's not impossible to get out of. But if you're in that high school, college, mid 20s, even 30s, that's still a really good age to start looking at this stuff and get it intact now, because future you will be super grateful that you're doing that. And you'll just feel more confident and smart about everything and not so in the dark and uneducated, because obviously Forging Roots, that's something we like to do on this podcast, is to educate ourselves on things that we don't really have an understanding or really don't like master at, I guess. And so yeah, interest rates with that, we cover that. And let's see, so I had the school debt, and another thing I've learned too is you have credit, and this kind of ties into me purchasing my new car and just life in general. This is something I didn't realize through the Dave Ramsey program was a thing, really. Dave Ramsey says you should never take out, you should pay cash for everything. You shouldn't have credit cards. You shouldn't, I forget the whole list, but these are different things. But the world does work in a way where we do have things where you have to have a certain amount of credit to be pre-approved for loans or taking out a mortgage for a house one day, and just all these other things. And I didn't know that's something you have to build up over time. And the better you build up, the better credit score and the better rates you can get. So for me, like when I first started getting into checking my credit score, I was like, whoa, I'm not in the right spot. But I've never had any credit. I've only had my school loans that I had, and I've paid those monthly. Like, why am I not perfect score right now? And they base it off a whole bunch of different things, but like how long have you had the loans or the credit cards and like paying on them? What's the age of them? They take how long it's been. They take, have you ever missed payment? That negatively affects your credit score pretty badly if you miss payments. Do you have stuff in collections, which is if you do miss those payments and then they're sitting there and they're going to knock you down? And I actually had some stuff sitting in collections from when I was 18, like just turned 18 my senior year, after like just after graduation, about to go off to college. And I had some doctor stuff done, but I was still, at the time I didn't have money. So I was through my parents, thought it was taken care of. It wasn't. And for all these years, I've had this sitting in collections for like 5 years when I checked. And I was like, oh, not good. Got that fixed and we're good now. And now I'm at a good spot I built up, and I took some credit cards out to help build that credit. The only thing is if you take credit cards out, it's like, ooh, I got all this money. That seems really cool. But the way I treat it is I use one for like food and going out, and then the other one is for gas. And I treat those as if they're debit cards still. If I don't have the money in my account, I won't spend it, right? Because then you're going to be messing up your credit. They also want you to set, like, even though you have this $1,000 of credit, right? For an example, they only want you to use within 3% of that to have really good credit and boost your credit and say, okay, this person's financially responsible, even though they have this. I don't really understand why, but that's just how it works. There's better podcasts, like I said, and tools out there. Dave Ramsey is a good one. I don't necessarily agree with everything he says, and there's the Money Guy Show, but I also don't agree with everything they say necessarily. You kind of do that research, figure out what works best for you, and go from there. Eventually, at some point, I'm going to get a financial advisor and move on, like figure this stuff out, have somebody more intimately help coach me through it. I mean, I've had my uncle who sits down with me, and he sat down with me way back in high school and explained all this stuff to me. And I don't know the exact numbers or the way it works, but like with the Roth 401k, they take taxes out of the Roth 401k at the time of you putting that money in. And that's a good idea. People recommend that because as time's gone on, interest rates have gone up and up and up. So people that put it in without taking the tax will go, sweet, I'm making all this, I've made all this money. And then when they go to pull it for retirement and they're older, they pull it out, they're going to go and get taxed. Tax could be way higher than it is now. And then it's like, shoot, you might have that $1 million, but the tax percentage is so high now, it's only worth $100,000 that you actually get. And the rest has to go to taxes. So, but if you get the Roth 401k, it takes us out now. And then once you go to take it out, when you take it out for retirement, that money is 100% yours as is. So I remember my uncle explaining stuff like that to me. And even a kid that started at like 20, say put money in at 20, then accrues that money over time, makes like 20 grand more, just letting it sit, not putting any more. So they put like 10 grand in, made 100,000, for example. Then somebody that did it at 22, just 2 years later, put 10 grand in, let it sit, never did anything to it. And then it only made like 60,000, 40,000 difference for only 2 years or something. That might not be the exact number or breakdown, but there, you can look that example up anywhere on the internet. I'm sure it's out there. And I was like, shoot, that's okay. Yeah, definitely want to be getting into that as young as I can and contributing to it. And so I've been doing that. The credit scores, and I guess kind of getting to the car now. So the car, I decided, like, I have my little Chevy Cobalt that I drive now, and that works and it gets it done, but I was kind of ready for an upgrade. There's some things that I had to get done. Parts have been going bad on that car within the last like 6 months pretty frequently. And instead of just keep going on, oh, I am getting a call. Okay, and we're back. Sorry about that. Got a call that came through. And yeah, so don't really remember where I left off 100%. I think I was talking about the car, if I'm not mistaken, in the process about going about finding it and just understanding like the rates and everything and searching. So I started looking and have been just kind of perusing for fun and don't necessarily, oh, that's what I was saying. Don't necessarily need the car. I have my Cobalt, but things were kind of going wrong. And I just wanted to upgrade to a truck or SUV or something that was a little bit bigger and had a little more space to it and something with four-wheel drive as the things I want to keep doing, like going hunting, going out west one day, camping, just things of that nature. It'd be really nice versus even when I went to Total Archery Challenge, my one little car was super packed and just, even though it was just me, every single one of my seats were taking it up. My trunk was full as crap and could hardly see out the back window. So started looking and realized very quickly, and I'm getting another call. All right, guys, we're going to keep it real on this one with all the calls. And sorry about that. But yeah, so took a lot. And I recommend you guys look into like if you're going to get a car, whether it be new or used, to understand like if it's a good daily driver car. The Money Guy show talked about a 28.3, put 20% down on the car, be able to pay, or 23.8, pay what is it? 20% down on the car, pay it off in 3 years, and the monthly payment should only be about 8% of your monthly gross income. And that seemed to be a really good fit for me. And I've been looking within that price range rather than originally I was like $50,000 car, which was way too much. Sorry, another call. So if it jumps like this out of nowhere and you're like, what's going on? That's what happened. I think I'm good now. So the 23.8 rule and having your 20% down, 3 years paid off, 8% of your monthly gross income. And that was something I was not looking at first and looking at like $600 to $700 car payment, which is very ridiculous. And hopefully you're not in that situation because that is definitely way too expensive. Well, for most people, granted, this is based off everyone's income, but for me, that was definitely out of my price range. So been kind of a roller coaster of emotions through it. Found something online that I liked, went and saw it, test drove it. Actually ended up signing a down payment, doing the whole contract and everything, and things were looking good. Said they had some minor things they were going to fix for me, and then those things didn't get fixed when I showed up. That call that I just got was now they're trying to pull that from under me or something. They said because they couldn't meet the requirements. This is, of course, after there's a whole story to the things not being met the first time I showed up to finish the payment yesterday and pick the car up. And it just, the things they said were going to get done weren't. So, granted, I was like, I'm not taking it till they are because that's the contract we signed. And now I got a call saying that the contract, the used car sales manager, like the head guys, like can't fulfill it. So we're just going to wholesale the car and they're refunding my money back. Very frustrating, lots of ups and downs. And I was hoping to have a better story. And I was going to be talking about this process and understanding. And now literally in the middle of recording this podcast, but we're going to keep it real, raw, and leave the names out of it for right now because just hopefully I'm going to try and call back up there and figure out what's going on because I just little flustered now, to be honest with you guys, and just super excited. And because all the stuff that was happening, got a little like, then was excited to go pick it up again tomorrow. And now I'm just a little out of it and a little sidetracked by that and just kind of blown away that they could do that and that they did do that when they said they could do it literally yesterday, have it already. But yeah, so hopefully you guys got something from this. I'll try to end on a better note, more positive, upbeat. I've been enjoying doing this podcast, guys. I really do. And a couple people have reached out and sent some messages, and I can't tell you guys how much that means to me hearing from you guys that you're getting something from this. I know I get something from it for myself, selfishly. Just I enjoy doing it, something fun, something different, and doesn't have to become anything. That's not the point of me doing this, and I hope that does kind of come through, and that you guys enjoy that, and that it's real raw and just like taking calls in the middle of this and trying to show you guys the emotions and bring you along the way. And because that's all it is just learning along the way and growing myself. And hopefully you guys are doing the same, challenging yourselves, going out there. If you're not investing, or not even investing, but if you're not thinking of like budgeting, if you don't even know what your budget is for yourself, or how much you make, or what you should be spending and saving, blah blah blah, like do that stuff. Also, get out and try the hike that you've been wanting to go on, the camping trip. Starting a new business, it might be a little scary and learn these things, but definitely worth at least putting in the time to research and really assess is something good for me, or for yourself, that I should say. And to get out there, be a positive influence in this world, and to push yourselves and push others around you. And hope you guys have a good rest of your day whenever you're listening to this. And I'll see you guys in the next episode.